Hey, this is Lucas Ridley with digitalcreatorschool.com, and I want to show you 3 ways to animate with precision inside Autodesk Maya. I am a professional animator for the last 10 plus years, and this is the software I use every day, and I also teach online at digitalcreatorschool.com. So let's take a look at this Maya scene I have open. And so let's say we have this stormtrooper coming in, and he's going to trip over this other one, and we want him to go higher, and you get a note like, that should be 20% more. You can actually do that. You can have it be very specifically a different percentage of whatever's happening. So the simplest way to do that is to go into your graph editor and find that axis. We can see just by having holding down W and hitting object, we're in object mode, and Y is the vertical axis. So I can isolate that in the graph editor, and we can already see that that's not what's pushing them up. So what I can do is hold down the backslash key and then middle mouse drag to find what is going up. So it's probably his root control here. So yeah, so now we can see this is the Y one. So the first thing, maybe you're handed a shot and you don't even know what it is. That's one way to diagnose what am I even going to be adjusting. I'm going to just hit the backslash key there to get back to the normal camera, render camera view. But we can see that this is going to be the one that's going to move him up and down. And we get the note that it should be, let's just say 50% more. And so what we can do is in the graph editor, we can select this key and we can increase it by 50%. So how do we do that? We do that through edit and go down to scale and choose the option box. And with its neighbor selected, where we need to choose where it's going to scale from. And there's a couple of different ways we could do it. We could do it without the scale keys here. We could go in and hit R to get scale and then shift middle mouse drag, but we're not getting the percentage aspect, right? And this is about precision. So with precision, we can animate. So let's do that. And I want to get his neighbor as well, because that's going to affect his kind of hang time. So I want to select both of those. But first, I need to choose where it's going to pivot from. Where are we scaling from? Because when I do this method and I hit R, and it goes based on where my mouse cursor is. So if it's here, it's going to scale from here. If it's down here, it's going to scale from there. So we need to choose that pivot right now for this tool to work. So I'm going to go to edit and reset settings just so it gets all the values back. I'm going to select where I want to pivot from. And it's usually like, if it's a jump or something, in this case, it's going to be where he's launching from. That's where I want to pivot these two from. So they move together based on this pivot. So this pivot is this value right here, 0.755. So I can just copy that and put it in the right entry box here. And I'm choosing that one because I want to adjust the value. And you can see value scale / pivot. So that indicates value scale is the first box, pivot is the second box. Okay, that's why I'm putting that value in the second box. Now, if we were to hit select these 2 keys, because those are the ones we want to affect, and then hit apply, nothing's going to happen because we're scaling by 1. And if you remember basic math, if you multiply something by 1, you're going to get the same value. So we need to put in here 150. All right, or 1.5. That is going to give you that 50% precision. So when I hit apply, I know that that is going up exactly by 50%. Now, the one little goofy thing is because this key is pretty close to where it's launching from, that didn't get moved up very much because it's scaling from 50% from here to, almost nothing times 1.5, you're still going to get almost nothing. So we could manually move that W, shift, middle mouse drag, and move that up. We can also choose a different pivot, maybe pivot from where it's going to land so that they both move up proportionally a little bit more. But that way, when you go back to your animation supervisor, you can say, I know, yeah, for sure, I increased this by 50%. Now, the other way to animate with precision, this is more for rotations, is if you hit E and I try to move a small amount, it's very difficult to move a small amount, like a tiny, tiny amount. And this is when I say precision, that's usually when it comes down to like very, very small differences when you're polishing something. This first example was like more of a broad application, but these next 2 are going to be more for about like very, very fine tweaking, how to very speak much, how to move something a very small amount. So when your manipulator is this size, it's kind of hard to move it a tiny, tiny bit. So what you can do is just hit plus on your keyboard and you actually get a bigger manipulator so that the amount of motion you're moving across the screen is much smaller. So I can move something, in this case, rotate it by a very, very tiny amount. Isn't that cool? So that is another way to animate with precision. So let me just get rid of that keyframe. Now, the third way is obviously you can go in here and type a specific number. So that would tweak something with precision. The other way that I like to do it is if I go into the graph editor, if I Control Alt and right click, I can scale up the value of what I'm seeing. So what you can do is navigate and hold down with Alt, middle mouse, you can pan, and then Alt Shift, you can drag this value. So if you look at these numbers on the left, we can change the scale at which we're gonna move stuff. So if I move something here, maybe it's a big scale, but if I wanna move it a tiny bit and I only have this much, screen space on, let me see if I can do that. This much screen space over here, I can just scale up what I'm looking at. So you can see the numbers change on the left so that the scale of the values can get very, very small, but the distance that we move our mouse on the screen will be the same. But because we're zoomed in so far, we're getting these tiny, tiny values. So now when I select this key and then I hit W and then Shift middle mouse drag, we're moving this just a tiny amount that you can't even see right now. Also, because I'm not on that keyframe. So if we just jump there, you may be able to see it, maybe not. So that can be super duper precise. So those are basically the ways that I animate with precision inside of Maya. If you want to learn more about animating in Maya, I have a Maya for Beginners animation course, and over 30,000 plus people have taken that course. I also have a ton of other animation Maya related courses, like a sci-fi one, and just did a Lego Millennium Falcon trench run type of animation. There's all these animation courses at digitalcreatorschool.com. And if you're curious about animation as a career, I have a course about that as well that I turned into a book that you can find at ebook.digitalcreatorschool.com. If you like this video and want to see more free stuff like this on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe below so that I know to keep putting this stuff out there. Otherwise, I'm just going to go keep making those courses. So I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.